Welcome everybody to another update on my Blu-ray and 4K collection. So I know it's been not very long since the last update because that was for Halloween, but they were only horror films and I've bought a lot more than just horror in the last month or so. Yeah, I figured it was high time to get another update in for any genre of film as yeah, my pile of films that I've recently bought has grown quite substantially. So yeah, we don't have much in the way of basic Blu-rays. So yeah, we'll start off with a Studio Canal release. So we bought a couple of these for Halloween, and another one I bought was Mr. Klein from Studio Canal's World Classics Vintage World Cinema collection. So yeah, this is an excellent film with Alain Delon in it, directed by Joseph Losey. And yeah, it's easily one of my favourites in terms of films that have focusing on identity, as Mr. Klein gets mistaken for someone else who is Jewish, and given this is set in World War II in France, that is a very dangerous thing to be mistaken for. To be mistaken for someone that is obviously going to have a large target on their back, and yeah, it's a really good restoration. Thematically rich, deals with greed and racism really well. So yeah, highly recommended if you've not seen this already. And yeah, the disc itself is printed as per usual with Studio Canal releases. So yeah, no plainness going on there. And then from was it medium rare? Now this is a new release. It came out in the last few weeks, and it is The Horseman, directed by John Frankenheimer. So I'm a big John Frankenheimer fan. So yeah, I instantly wanted to buy this because not many of his films are readily available on Blu-ray in the UK. It's pretty much only his 60s stuff and maybe one or two after the fact. But yeah, not much else. So yeah, really glad that another one of his has been given a release, and it also stars Omar Sharif and Jack Palance, who I've seen in stuff before, and they've been impressive. So hoping that this can keep up John Frankenheimer's, quite frankly, stunning run of excellent films. So I look forward to watching that eventually. And newly released on 4K. In fact, this isn't even technically out until the 6th of November. Not sure if this video is going to be released on that day or not. But yeah, I've been given it early, and it is Scrooged, starring Bill Murray, directed by Richard Donner, who unfortunately recently passed away. And yeah, this is celebrating its 35th anniversary and is brand new on 4K as a result of that anniversary. So it's got a bunch of extras on it, but I'm not sure if these are new extra to this disc or they've been on previous Blu-rays. But you do have a commentary by the director Richard Donner. You got A Christmas to Remember, updating Ebenezer, bringing the ghosts to life, the look of Scrooge on the set of with Bill Murray, and show West clips with Bill Murray as well. So, yeah, it's a really good film. I will admit I only saw this for the first time last year, so I'm not necessarily a fan of it in the classic kind of sense, but I did enjoy it a lot. And yeah, I'm definitely going to look forward to watching it again on this new 4K restoration. So yeah, looking forward to that. And these next two, unfortunately, arrived broken. Now, the first one I didn't realize was broken until I unwrapped it. Naturally, checked the second one to make sure that wasn't broken before I unwrapped that, and it was. So yeah, I do own these, but hopefully I'm going to get either full replacements or new cases at least. But yeah, the first one is from Signal One Entertainment, and it is A Reason to Live, A Reason to Die. So yeah, as you can see, heavily damaged on the bottom there, and even more apparent on the inside. Which yeah, is a big shame. I've had films from Signal One before, and they've never arrived broken before. So yeah, it's a little bit of a shame that it has arrived in that state. And in fact, the cover itself has been slightly torn. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. But yeah, bit of a shame. Yet to see the film, so hopefully it will be good, regardless of how it's turned up. And the second film was also from Signal One Entertainment, and it is Death Race 2000. So not unwrap this because I wasn't sure if they'd get annoyed at me unwrapping both of them, even though I obviously unwrapped one, so it was damaged, and then just unwrapped the second one. But yeah, pretty solid film, directed by Paul Bartel, but produced by the legendary Roger Corman, and stars David Carradine and Sylvester Stallone. Stallone in one of his earlier roles, and yeah, again, not sure if you can see the cracks around there or not, but yeah, it's definitely been damaged, and that is again a big shame. So hopefully I'll get replacements for those sooner rather than later. And then from 88 Films, not a brand new release, but it did only come out this year, I believe. Yes, it did. And it is Code of Silence. So this is probably the best of the Chuck Norris films that I've seen. And I know that kind of sounds like damning with giving it faint praise, because obviously a lot of Chuck Norris films are kind of mediocre, although the Missing in Action trilogy was fairly decent. I wish all three of those films would get a box set or something at some point, but still, yeah, it's a pretty good one. I like the slipcover that it's got going on, and yeah, also get a couple of physical extras inside, which is always nice to see. And yeah, the reason I believe this is probably one of Chuck Norris's best films, certainly in terms of the ones that I've seen, is because it is directed by Andy Davis, who also known as Andrew Davis, who went on to direct The Fugitive, which is easily one of the best thrillers of the 90s. So yeah, you get a booklet with this, which has basically a bunch of shots from the film, behind the scenes or otherwise. So yeah, it's definitely a good film. I do recommend it if you're into your 80s action films and you've been looking to watch a Chuck Norris film but not been sure about which one to watch because, like I said, his reputation for being in a bunch of stinkers is obviously well renowned. Well renowned. There's the new artwork and there's the original, which is quite good. So yeah, nice thick paper on it as well. So yeah, definitely be putting that up at some point. And then Arrow Video had a bunch of films on sale. Uh, I think it was a Shocktober sale, so horror films were included, which you will have seen in the my update for the Halloween one. But there were several films that aren't horror films that were included, and these are the likes of Hired to Kill, which stars George Kennedy, Brian Thompson, and Oliver Reed. Pretty weird film. It's directed by Nico Mastorakis, who I've seen other films from, like Nightmare at Noon and The Zero Boys. Um, Not as good as Nightmare at Noon, to be honest, which also stars George Kennedy, but it is a double discer at least, so Blu-ray and DVD. It's quite frankly just lacking in action outside of the final act to be quite enjoyable enough, but it does have some weird moments. I mean, if you've ever wanted to see Brian Thompson and Oliver Reed for Kiss, for instance, then this film will be right up your street. But yeah, it's not as good as Nightmare at Noon just because the action isn't quite as numerous, although the finale in this is definitely better than Nightmare at Noon, which was quite anticlimactic as far as I was concerned. And then we have the remake of The Killers, directed by Don Siegel, I believe. Yeah, and also starring Lee Marvin, who and John Cassavetes, who include Gulager as well. So yeah, really, really good cast. Not as good as the original, but still, as far as updates go, it's a pretty good one, especially since it looks excellent and the violence is really rather quite, you know, in your face in some regards. Then one that I haven't seen is Bloody Spear at Mount Fuji. So I've been buying a lot of Japanese films lately, and yeah, this is another one that I figured would be worthy in my collection. So yeah, not sure if I've seen much from Tomu Uchayada. Um, yeah, probably not seen much from the cast either, but still, sounds like an interesting premise. Sounds a bit like a road movie, tragicomic kind of thing. So yeah, interested in seeing what that's going to be like. And then another bunch of films that I haven't seen is this box set of films from Kinji Fukasaku's Battles Without Honor or Humanity. Without Honor and Humanity, even. And yeah, not seen any of these five films before, but again, they were going really cheap. So I figured I'd finally pick them up. I know there's a trilogy of films that came out after this, which were like new Battles Without Honor and Humanity. So I will eventually get those, but I figured I may as well just watch the first original five to see what they're like before buying any more. So yeah, they're not on individual discs, I don't believe. Um, no, they're not. But the first one is on its own disc, and that is Yakuza Papers. No, no, it's Battle Without Honor and Humanity is the first one. What's it say? Oh, it's the Yakuza Papers Volume 1. Hadn't quite read that bit. Then in the second disc, we have Proxy. No, we don't. We have Hiroshima Deathmatch. For some reason, the other way around. And then the third disc is Proxy War. I didn't think these were on their own individual discs. I guess it's because they're only in three cases that I assumed that they were in on their own individual disc. And then the third case has Volume 4, Police Tactics, and then Volume 5, Final Episode. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing these. I've been a fan of Kinji Fukasaku's films before. Surprised I haven't gotten around to this, five set before, but better late than never, I guess. And then from BFI, I have a brand new box set, 2 disc set with 3 films, and it is now. Pardon me, I'm probably butchering this name like I have with any other foreign name that I've said. Yosujiro Ozu. I hope I'm saying that right. But yeah, 3 films from him. So yeah, I believe in the update before the Halloween one that I showed off Tokyo Story. And I said I bought this purely because I was anticipating this box set. Really, really enjoyed this film. It's an excellent film, although not quite the masterpiece that I was hoping it would be, but still a great one regardless. So yeah, figured we'd watch that. I'd watch that first in anticipation of this. So yeah, watching that has definitely got me hyped for these 3 films. Now, granted, these are older. Tokyo Story is from 1953, whereas the first film in this is called Dragnet Girl, which is from 1933. It's a silent film. And then Record of a Tenement Gentleman is from 1947. And then A Hen in the Wind is from 1948. So all of them are older than A Tokyo Story, but I still have great belief that I'll enjoy all 3 of them. So Dragnet Girl is on its own disc, and then the other 2 are on their second disc. So yeah, looking forward to watching all 3 of those. Didn't know Dragnet Girl was a silent film before buying this purchase. Not sure whether or not knowing that beforehand would have put me off buying this or not, because I'm not really a big fan of silent films. I've watched a lot of them, but most of them have been short films from the likes of Buster Keaton. So yeah, not wholly sure if I'm going to enjoy it or not, especially since it's 101 minutes long. But I'm more than willing to give it a shot. And yeah, you got write-ups in this little booklet as well. So yeah, I've not read any of it because they're all spoilers apparently. But you got Dragnet Girl by Bryony Dixon. Then you got Record of a Tenement Gentleman by Tony Raines. Then Building from Ground Zero, A Hen in the Wind by Jonathan Rosenbaum. And Scores for Ozu's Silent Gangster Films by Ed Hughes. Then you got Performer Biographies, Special Features. So you got Dragnet Girl commentary, Hen in the Wind commentary, and Record of a Tenement Gentleman commentary as well. And then about the presentations as well. So Dragnet Girl was digitally restored in a 2022 from a 35mm print from the National Film Archive of Japan, derived from a 35mm nitrate original negative. The 4K restoration was handled by Shokichu and conducted by Imagica Entertainment Service Incorporated with the support of the Japan Foundation. Color correction supervised by Mayashi Chikamori. I hope I'm saying that right. Record of a Tenement Gentleman was digitally restored in 2023. 4K restoration, again, handled by the same people by the looks of things. And then A Hen in the Wind was digitally restored in 2022. The 4K restoration, again, managed by the same people. So, yeah, they've put a lot of effort into, restoring these films. I imagine they didn't have the best quality of releases beforehand. So, yeah, really, really pleased to see that they've been given, a helping hand in being, you know, restored and available for future generations and future people to watch, because yeah, I doubt they were easy to get a hand of. And then finally, Indicator had a huge sale on. I think it's actually still on until the 6th, although multiple items are going out of stock. But yeah, I got plenty from them, 2 of which are only standard editions, but I think 6 or 7 are limited editions, so I've got a lot of limited edition for not very much. But the first of which is The Stranglers of Bombay. So yeah, it doesn't sound like the most culturally sensitive film, but it's a Hammer production. It's directed by Terence Fisher, who's done plenty of Hammer films before. So yeah, and it's only 80 minutes long. So hopefully it can't go too wrong, despite the cultural insensitivity. And then we have this last standard edition we have is Someone to Watch Over Me, directed by Ridley Scott, starring Tom Berenger, Mimi Rogers, and the Lorraine Bracco, who was in Goodfellas. Surprisingly, I've not seen anything else from her outside of Goodfellas until this film, which was a bit underwhelming, to be honest. It's a bit slow in parts. I don't really find the romance all that convincing, but it's got some plus points to it, like the cinematography, the score. Lorraine Bracco is excellent, but yeah, it's a little bit underwhelming compared to other Ridley Scott films, and yeah, certainly not his best from the 80s. And these next lot are all limited editions, and I've not seen any of them yet. So, first of which we have is 90 Degrees in the Shade, which is apparently a British and Czech co production. But still, it's also got two different versions on this. But yeah, it's had a 2K restoration, and yeah, it's got the printed disc as per usual with Indicator films, and with it being a limited edition, we get a booklet as well. So yeah, we got 90 Degrees in the Shade, a Czech-British affair by Jonathan Owen. Surprised this actually still has a limited edition, given it was released 4 years ago, so mustn't have done particularly well, unfortunately. But hopefully that's not reflecting on the film's quality itself. So yeah, big write up there. Got a critical response from the time. You got Jerry Wise on 90 Degrees in the Shade. That's basically an interview with the director himself. And yeah, what else have we got? There's a bunch of extras on it as well in terms of short films. So you got the likes of the Rape of Czechoslovakia from 1939. I imagine that's about World War II, or the start of it at least. Then the other RAF, 100 Million Women, before the raid. So yeah, they're all around the kind of wartime era, 1939 to what was it, 1943. So yeah, I imagine they'll be interesting to watch, especially in terms of setting the context of the kind of background to the film being made. Then we have Bluebeard's Eighth Wife. This is kind of a romantic comedy, directed by Ernest Lubitsch, who again I've not seen anything from before, but screenplay is partly written by Billy Wilder, who obviously did a lot of great films as a director. So yeah, there's a disc again, and a booklet once more. So yeah, I've seen Gary Cooper in several stuff before, and he's been good, but I don't think I've seen Claudette Colbert in things before. Her name isn't immediately springing to mind. We also have David Niven in this, who's always a pleasure to see. Then you got in the booklet subtly with a sledgehammer in it, Seeing Double in Bluebeard's Eighth Wife by Pamela Hutchinson. This is a 2023 release, by the way, so again, not a film that has sold like hotcakes, because they only make so many of these limited editions. Then you got Fast Stars with Colbert with Gary Cooper. That's from 1938 itself. So again, always nice to have some context to the film's release. Then you got the Lubitsch touch, Ernst Lubitsch in the news. So again, setting more context. And then you got Let Me Out of This Thing, When Gloria Swanson Met Bluebeard by Pamela Hutchinson, again from this year. Then you got a bunch of shorts as well. You got United States from 1944. You got Know Your Ally by Fiona Kelly. Then you got About the Presentations, Acknowledgements, Special Thanks, and the like. So, yeah, another in-depth booklet there from Indicator. Then another release from 2023. I'm surprised these have gone on sale as quickly as they have. But then we've got the Kiss Before the Mirror. So directed by James Whale, who did the likes of The Invisible Man, which again is a fantastic horror film. This is only clocking in at 69 minutes long from 1933. So yeah, I don't think it's a horror film. I think it's more of like a melodrama or something like that. But yeah, still looking forward to it. Always a fan of these like short films that do a great deal in such a short amount of time. That's a booklet again. Not sure if I've seen anyone in this before. Might have seen Paul Lucas in something. His name is conjuring up some memories. But then we've got Reflections of James Whale by Philip Kemp. Flick through. A Famous Son of Dudley from 1933. So between the release of The Kiss Before the Mirror and The Invisible Man, James Whale took an extended winter trip to his hometown Dudley, nestled between Birmingham and Wolverhampton in the West Midlands. The Dudley Evening Dispatch was excited to receive its Hollywood visitor. So it's an interview with him from the time. Then you got Curtis Harrington on James Whale, which again, it looks like another interview. Then you got critical response from the time. Then you got another short in this one, Classification of Enlisted Men, again from the wartime era. Although James Whale was actually uncredited on doing that short. But yeah, there's the man himself. So yeah, that's another film to look forward to. And then also from, oh no, actually this is from 2021, but regardless, starring Gregory Peck, MacArthur. So yeah, looks like another interesting film. It's directed by Joseph Sargent, who's even got the score that's done by Jerry Goldsmith. So yeah, seen plenty of films with Jerry Goldsmith doing the score, so I'm happy to add another one of his to my collection. And then in this booklet, we've got cast and crew as per usual. Then we've got Public Figure, Private Battles by Robert Matson. That's probably talking about MacArthur himself. Who was a bit of a controversial figure at the time, I believe. Then you got an interview with Gregory Peck, from 1977. Then you got General Douglas MacArthur's Assignment, Not Only Earned But Appropriate from 1945. Then you got Truman Fires MacArthur from 1951. Critical response from the time. And yeah, about the restoration and whatnot. So yeah, another film to look forward to. As per usual with all of these films, I don't think I've really been disappointed by many of Indicator's releases, and none of these ones that I've not seen sound like a disappointment. And then we got A Soldier's Story, directed by Norman Jewison, starring the likes of, I think it's Denzel Washington, in fact. But you've also got a score by Herbie Hancock, which should be interesting, given he was, I believe, mostly into electronic music in the 80s. Didn't he do a song called Rocket, something like that? I seem to remember. Yeah, there's Denzel Washington himself. Very early role from him. And there's a behind the scenes shot. So in the booklet, we've got cast and crew again. Cast and crew, let's just look at the cast. Yeah, it's only Denzel Washington that's sticking out there in terms of the cast. Although you have Patti LaBelle in this, who's usually a singer more than a actor. You got Wings Hauser in it. But yeah, they're the only two names that I instantly recognise outside of Denzel Washington. So then you in the booklet yourself, you got your introduction to Charles Fuller and A Soldier's Play by Malefi Katie Asante from 2020. Yeah, I believe this is a 2020 release. Yes. So not everything that I've bought is from 2023 from this sale, but it's still all, new enough. Then you got Norman Jewison on A Soldier's Story from his 2004 autobiography. Got some shots from behind the film scenes there. Then you got Russell Boyd on Shooting a Soldier's Story from 1984. And you got a critical response from the time. And then about the representation of it. It's a Sony 2K remaster, so yeah, should look pretty good. especially for a film that is now nearing 40 years old. And finally, not least but not but last definitely, it is Bullfighter and the Lady, a film directed by Bud Bodicker, who I've got plenty of films from before because Indicator have released several of his films, most of which have been short, low budget westerns, but this is anything but short at 124 minutes, although there is a cut down version at 87 minutes for some reason. Yeah, the theatrical cut was only 87 minutes long, but the film and television archive release is the director's cut, which is clocking at 124 minutes long. So, yeah, much longer than his usual other releases, which have usually been below an hour and a half. John Wayne also produced this, and it stars Robert Stack, who I believe I've seen in films before. That's the disc. And the last booklet, I believe that's Bud Bodicker himself. And yeah, inside of the booklet, we've got Ayaha Toro, Bud Bodicker's Fiesta Brava by Matthew Thrift. So this was released in 2022. Didn't initially get it on release because I don't think I'd seen any Bud Bodicker films by that point, but I have now, so I'm definitely one reason to buy it. And then you got a letter from Bud Bodicker from 1951. So he wrote a letter there to a newspaper, I believe. And then we've got Katie Girardo in Hollywood. And critical response from the time. And then there's some shorts on here. We've got My Kingdom 4, which is actually an 85-minute long extra. 85-minute long what? Documentary? It's an autobiographical documentary about Bud Bodicker's retirement years spent training horses, featuring the actor Robert Stack and directed by Bud Bodicker himself. And then we've got in this booklet, we've got That's As Far As I Go by Jeff Bullington, and then about the presentations and the like. So yeah, it's not often we get a bunch of well, a couple of different cuts for a film from Indicator. Usually we just get the cut that was available at the time. But still, should be interesting to see the full version over the shorter version, I imagine, which is probably the better version of the two. Usually is the longer version that is a better film outside of the theatrical cut, which usually get butchered, and that's why sometimes they don't get the best response from critics of the time because they've been slashed to such a short length by the studio. So yeah, bit of a lengthy update, but that's why I wanted to get these films shown in an update, because if I bought any more would have been even longer. And yeah, I've taken up plenty of time already, but nonetheless, thank you for watching. If you've seen any of these films before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on them, but I'll see you in the next one. Bye.